Welcome to the Film Fan Club Show, Phase 2, Episode 3, for July 1st, 2016. Today, we got a couple trailers to talk about. James Cameron hates The Force Awakens? What? All that and more coming up in just a second. The Film Fan Club Show starts right now. Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Film Fan Club Show. My name's Sam Carrico, and today I'm joined by
Tony Frazier.
How are you doing today, Tony?
I'm doing okay.
Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, Tony. This is your first time on the show, so just tell us about your life, your history. You've had some history as a film critic. You've been a film fan for all your life, so just tell us a little bit about yourself, some of your favorite movies.
Yeah, long-time film fan. I actually dropped out of USC Film School back in the 1980s, became a film critic at the Daily Oklahoman for a couple of years, and then since then I've kind of written things here and there. I've had some short stories published.
And you have a blog, right?
I have a blog that is on a kind of an extended hiatus while I rework the site and figure out what my next project is going to be.
It's under construction right now, as you could say.
Yeah.
Well, let's jump into it. We just saw a couple of trailers. Just now we saw Bleed for This, and you are just fresh off of seeing it. So what is your first reaction to Bleed for This starring Miles Teller?
I don't know. Boxing movies always kind of follow a set template.
I noticed that.
I understand that, and I'm kind of torn because it looks impressive in a lot of ways, but the story of a guy who is told that if he keeps training after a major accident that he could sever his spinal cord, and he decides that, well, he's just going to gut through it. I'm not sure how on board I am with spending 2 hours watching this guy.
I agree. It's kind of like I saw the trailer I didn't see the trailer, but I heard about Southpaw, and I'm just not into those kinds of films, so I skipped Southpaw. Creed, of course, it had the added benefit of being connected to the Rocky universe, so everyone was like, oh my gosh, you got to see this. So I saw Creed, loved Creed, but then I watched this trailer, and I'm like, it is kind of paint by the numbers a little bit. So is this something that, like, maybe if you hear great reviews for it, maybe it'll turn you around, or just kind of like, this movie's not for me, you don't think you're going to end up seeing it? Because for me, I'm at the point where it's like, yeah, I'm not sold yet, but if some good reviews come out from critics that I trust, then maybe I could be brought on board.
I used to be a lot more forgiving for that stuff. I don't have as much time to see movies, at least in the theaters, as I used to. So I get a lot more choosy about what I see. And it all comes down to, I don't know. I don't know. I'm really on the fence because I think it's the kind of thing that I've seen a lot before.
Yeah, that's true. There's definitely a lot of the same beats,
so
but maybe
it all is going to fall on the performances.
That's true, yeah. And it seems like if you want to win an Oscar nowadays, or at least have a really good shot of winning an Oscar, just do a wrestling movie, because that's what everybody's doing right now, it seems like. Jake Gyllenhaal, Miles Teller, and then his Fantastic Four co-star, Michael B. Jordan, they all have got serious recognition for playing in boxing movies. So let's move over. This is another true story. Lots of trailers for true stories today. I don't know if you noticed, but Aaron Eckhart is in both the trailers that we saw. But this one's for Sully. It's the new Tom Hanks movie. It's the story about the guy. I remember hearing about it on the news. You probably were working the news when it happened. Whenever they landed were you working the news when that happened? He landed the plane in the Hudson River?
I don't remember the exact date. I may have been. I took a break from news for about 3 or 4 years there.
It could have been during that break.
So it could have been during my break. Well, I can't remember specifically.
Well, we saw that trailer, and I just saw it just earlier today. You might have seen it yesterday or something like that.
I saw it last night.
Last night. So is this something that interests you? Are you a Tom Hanks fan?
Not as much as I used to be.
Yeah, I've seen Forrest Gump, and then that was my first introduction to Tom Hanks. So I'm like, this guy's just a stellar actor. And then I see some other things like Captain Phillips. Okay, it seems like later Bridge of Spies is, a little bit whatever. I actually gave it 8 out of 10 stars when I first saw it because I was really, but you revisit it and it's not a very memorable performance. Do you think this will be a memorable performance from Tom Hanks?
Oh, I don't know. My issue with the trailer makes it look as if there's, he's a hero, but there's a whole question of whether he was actually like responsible for the problem, or if he's maybe manipulating things for publicity. And I don't see that as being a really good fit for Tom Hanks, just because when it's Tom Hanks, we know he's going to be innocent. If you had like a Harrison Ford who has had roles which have gone back and forth, and a role like Presumed Innocent, where you are kept guessing for the entire film, is he guilty or is he not? Because Harrison Ford can play that. But I don't know that Tom Hanks, if audiences are being so conditioned to Tom Hanks, I think the only time he ever did a kind of a heavy role was when he played the bad guy, the hitman with the heart of gold in
Heart of Gold.
I don't remember the name of the movie. It was based on a comic book.
That's a recurring phrase with the Tom Hanks. Is he's always, every character that he plays is blank blank blank, but with a heart of gold. Because you're right. He's Tom Hanks. He's got that innocence to him that I'm not sure if he can bring the kind of level of ambiguity that they're trying to go for. Did you ever see the movie Gone Girl?
No,
with Ben Affleck. Did you see the previews for it?
I have.
Oh, it was such a good film. I have it on DVD if you ever want to borrow it. But yeah, that's a film where they play it both ways. His wife goes missing, and then it's like the whole question of the film is, did he kill her? Did he not kill her? And they really, of course, they tell you eventually, but up until they tell you, you are left guessing, because Ben Affleck is the type of guy who can play it one way, he can play it the other way. You just always guessing. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And again, I'm not entirely sure for Sully it is what the plot of this film is, because it looks like it's not going to focus entirely on the act of landing, like that's going to be there, but it's going in a little bit into his origin, a little bit into what happened afterwards. So I'm kind of wondering just where the time frame is going to be for this film. It wasn't very specific in the trailer, at least.
Well, it might be just the story of a guy who has had kind of a hard, a difficult history and has fought through challenges, and now he's being falsely accused of this thing, and everybody's like conspiring against him, and so he's got to be the one guy standing against a corrupt system or something. Sure. I don't know, but it's hard to tell from the trailer which direction they're going to take it, but unfortunately for me, the trailer's not interesting enough to make me really want to see which direction they're going to take.
That's true. Even more so, I have a better chance of seeing Bleed for this than I do Sully, because the trailer, at least we Bleed for this, there's a couple things that caught my eye. There's like, oh, okay, I want to see how that turns out. With the Sully trailer, it's like, I could go without seeing this film. It's like, and I think the Sully trailer was an early September release, and typically early September releases just aren't, we're out of summer movie season, we're not into the Oscar season yet, so it's like, it'll be interesting to see if this is just something that they didn't have a release date for, so they just plopped it there, or what, because Clint Eastwood also, we didn't mention that, Clint Eastwood's directing this, and he hasn't been on a hot streak recently. Yeah. Alrighty, so let's move on to this James Cameron thing. He shared his thoughts on The Force Awakens, Star Wars Force Awakens. We've all seen it. Maybe you guys have heard of it. It's a small little indie film but from J.J. Abrams. And he said basically that George's group of 6 films had more innovative visual imagination, and that this film, Force Awakens, was more of a retrenchment to things you'd seen before with characters you'd seen before. It only took a few baby steps with new characters. So for James Cameron, the jury's out. He wants to see where they go with it. So he's still waiting for Episode 8. So you hear these thoughts, and you liked The Force Awakens, yes?
I did.
So you hear these thoughts. James Cameron kind of thought all of George's 6 films, including the prequels, were more imaginative. How do you take these words?
I'm not sure. There's a couple of ways that I could take it. I know that J.J. Abrams has a reputation among some filmmakers and some film critics as being more of a TV director. So even when he makes a movie, a feature film, he takes a more of a TV approach to it, which takes fewer chances it does less with the frame and takes fewer chances with the editing and angles and so forth. Mm-hmm. Or it could be just that the idea of like a Starkiller base and a Kylo Ren in a black helmet with a black cloak is just trying to find ways to recapitulate the kind of elements that we've seen before, imitate the Darth Vader and the Death Star.
Everything you like, but slightly different.
Yeah.
So I agree with that, but I don't know. I always thought that retrenchment was a little bit of a weird word, because firstly I would never use retrenchment. I would say retread, and I don't think that I don't know, because I'm very torn up on this, because I myself have been very outspoken with saying, I don't like Starkiller Base. I didn't like the third Death Star plot. I didn't like all this stuff. But then at the same time, I feel like a hypocrite because I'm so quick to defend the film because I love it because it's Star Wars. So for me, I guess the jury is out for me on these comments. But I'm trying to think whether or not I can wholeheartedly say whether I agree with him or whether I disagree with him, because I think that he is definitely he's not J.J. Abrams, he's James Cameron. He's George Lucas's friend, so he's going to be more blunt about something that is askew, not what George originally had done. So if it was George's film, maybe he'd be more lighthearted and soft-spoken about it, just like I am. I'm soft-spoken about it because I love the film, but I think he's kind of saying a little bit of what's on everyone's mind. You know, how there's, Death Star 3, that's kind of annoying. Kylo Ren, he's like Darth Vader, and they are kind of taking a lot of cues from the original ones, but he's just outright saying, I'd like to see some more originality. So I can't entirely disagree with him. Can you?
No, I see where he's going. I mean, the one thing that the prequel trilogy has going for it that you have to admit is that the designers, the production designers, did an amazing job of creating an entire group of creating the earlier version of the universe where you can see that the later developments, the later technological developments are going to come out of that, but they also create some really neat original concepts like the princesses. Tell me the princesses.
There's Padme Amidala.
Padme's starship,
yes.
that completely reflective starship.
Yeah, I like that.
Silver reflective starship. That was cool.
Yeah. So I agree. I mean, there's some stuff to agree with, but also at the same time, I think that he could have been a little bit nicer.
Well, the other thing about it is, as I've told you before, George Lucas has gone on record in different commentaries and interviews as saying that the entire Star Wars series is an exercise in kind of mixing and matching and remixing the same elements over and over again. So to say that Star Wars 7 or Episode 7 is just the same things over again. That's a feature. That's not a bug.
That's a great point, because I forgot that I was pointing out last night that at the end of Episode 1, George Lucas has a young Skywalker kid fly up into the sky and have an aerial space battle and destroy this spherical thing that's the object of winning the battle at the end. So George Lucas is essentially kind of doing a retrenchment of the same stuff. But I agree, Episode 1 did take us to a lot more new places, but I mean, it's still the same storyline, or not the same storyline, but the same stuff.
Episode 2 and Episode 5 have an asteroid field chase in the middle.
Yeah, that's true. And we can go into a lot of different ways about how one asteroid chase was done better than theirs, because there's a great YouTube video about just filmmaking and the technical aspects of it, and how George was able to make the Empire Strikes Back asteroid chase seem a lot better and feasible and more interesting visually and from a technological standpoint than the one in Attack of the Clones. Because I don't want to get into that right now. But anyways, for some reason, my podcast thing's being weird, so we only have a minute and a half left, so let's wrap this up. So where can people find you online, Tony? And thanks again for coming on the show, by the way.
Oh, no problem. Like I say, I'm at herogohome.com is my official website. That's all one word, herogohome.com. It's based on a book that I wrote several years ago.
Can we find it on Amazon, the book?
You can.
You can find his book, Hero Go Home, on Amazon.
Yeah.
By Tony Frazier.
And along with some other books. But like I say, the website has not really been active for about 3 years. I'm sorry.
What about Twitter? Can people follow you on Twitter?
I'm on Twitter, but I'm not very interesting.
Well, I mean, that's what you do at the end of a podcast.
Tony Frazier 1.
At Tony Frazier 1 on Twitter. For myself, you can follow me on the various social media sites, Twitter and Instagram, at Samuel D. Carrico. Why don't you just follow Fox 23 on all their various social media sites as well, and and watch Fox 23 News at 5 and 9 if you live in Tulsa. Thanks a lot, guys. This has been the Film Fan Club Show, and hopefully we'll be able to do a longer podcast next time. See ya.